Mother, good evening.
Jonathan! Is it you? Where have you been, my prodigal son?
I'm right here, Mother. I'm finally home.
Yes, for this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and now found. But where is your sister? Where is Mary?
Mary? She is gone, Mother.
I know she's gone. The question is, when will she return as you have? I miss my grandson so much. It's been days since their last visit.
Have you returned to Whitechapel Cemetery since Mary's funeral?
I never want to go back to that awful place. Wait. I think I went back once. And you were there too. And Mary? No, that can't be true.
It was just a bad dream, Mother.
A nightmare, yes. Mary was so angry. I walked back home alone. If that kind policeman had not called Avery from the station, I don't know what would have happened.
Mother, do you know what's been going on in this area?
Not really. I don't go out much due to the epidemic, and when I do, I tend to get lost.
What do you mean you get lost? I hope you don't go outside alone.
Of course not. When I go out, your father always comes with me, but he leaves me there sometimes, and I have trouble finding the way back.
Do you need anything, Mother? Can I help you?
I just want you to stay with me, Jonathan. Your room is ready. I asked Avery to make your bed.
I'll stay as long as I can, I promise. Do you need anything else?
Just one thing. Stop staring at me like that. As much as I love you, it breaks my heart to look at those empty and dead eyes.
Are you working on a new painting?
Not recently. I have trouble focusing on my subject and my mind quickly drifts. It's the same thing when I try to write poetry.
I recently met a talented painter with an excellent technique. I wish you two could meet. I'm sure you'd like her.
I'd be glad to meet her. What is her name? Is she famous? Is she dead too?
She's not famous, and her name is of no importance. And yes, she is also dead.
The important thing is, I hope you two get along. If she ever fancies meeting your mother, I'd be glad to welcome her into my home.
Why do you say Mary is visiting you, Mother? You know that's impossible.
Why should it be? Are you not standing in front of me right now? Why should it be any different with your sister?
But I'm not dead, Mother. I'm really here, talking to you, trying not to cry.
Oh, it breaks my heart to have to tell you this. But of course you're dead, my darling boy. Just look at you, as pale as my Mary.
But Mary really is dead, Mother.
Yes. And are you not dead too? Isn't your father dead? And my grandson, and my son-in-law? You're all gone. But you all still visit me from time to time.
Goodbye, Mother. Try to rest now.
Goodbye, son. Please come back soon.
It's locked. I cannot enter. Good evening, Avery.
Mr. Jonathan? I can't believe my own eyes. Oh, it's a miracle. We all thought you were... Oh, sir, your poor sister. What a tragedy.
I know, Avery. I know about my sister's murder.
Miss Reed expected you to return to assist with the funeral, right up until the last minute. Where have you been, Mr. Jonathan? We needed you here.
How is my mother?
Not well, I'm afraid, sir. Miss Reed is very fragile since the police brought her back home.
The police? What happened?
Miss Reed was found walking in the streets. She kept saying she had spoken with her son and daughter. She's resting now.
Has she received appropriate medical care?
I'm taking care of Miss Reed myself. Hospitals are so overwhelmed by the epidemic that they can only accept patients infected by influenza.
Perhaps we could arrange a short trip. Somewhere sunny, like France. She has always been very fond of France. I think leaving London could do her good.
I'm afraid Miss Reed is too frail for the moment. Recently, she started going out at night without remembering it. I have to watch her carefully.
What is the situation in this part of town?
For a time, the West End seemed spared by the epidemic. But the situation is getting much worse.
Have you no relatives anywhere? I'll understand if you want to take a few days to see family.
Your father managed to guarantee my earnings as long as I take care of this house, sir. My sisters are dead, and I've never met my nephews. I'll stay, sir.
I'm sorry I could not be here for Mary's funeral.
Your mother was strong, sir, but your support would have been appreciated. Apart from the priest and I, no one else attended your sister's funeral.
To be present at the funeral with you both was my dearest wish, Avery. But I'm sorry, I simply could not attend.
I would not dare to question your absence, Mr. Jonathan. All I can say is that we missed you a great deal during these difficult days.
Tell me the truth, Avery. Do you feel forced to stay here? Would you leave this house without the arrangement made by my father?
No, sir. I have nowhere else to go. And I promised your father I'd take care of his family as long as I lived.
This house is dead, Avery. There is a curse on this family. You really should consider leaving.
If only you could have been here sooner or more often. Maybe this house would not be that empty. But you're here now, sir, so my task is not over.
You have served this family extremely well, Avery. Your support during these terrible times is much appreciated.
Then I will stay. All I ask is that you take care of my own funeral if I die before the end of the epidemic. No mass grave, please, sir.
Do you really think I don't take enough care of my mother, Avery?
Yes, I do, Mr. Jonathan.
You clearly have something more to say. Speak your mind, Avery.
I know you work hard to help the sick, but what will you do once the epidemic is over?
I really don't know. I have always enjoyed seeing new horizons. Once the epidemic is over, it would be nice to leave London for a while.
I understand, Mr. Jonathan, but you have to realize that your mother needs you. Your next departure could break her heart.
I'm currently investigating sources of the epidemic in this part of town. Do you know anything useful?
Not really, except all the Macpherson's servants resigned a few days ago. They feared becoming infected, they said.
The Macphersons? Where do they live?
I think it's a rich house near the railway bridge in the southern part of the district.
Goodbye.
Of course, Mr. Jonathan, but please return as soon as possible.
Good idea this time of the year. Your father and I have spoken about your fiancé, Mary. We believe he'll be an honorable husband for you. We'll set a date for the marriage then. That way, I'm sure one of my children will give me grandchildren. I understand your thirst for knowledge, Jonathan, and your father and I are proud of it. But you are not that young anymore, my son. When will I meet your soulmate? You can ascribe my romantic tendencies to my French origins if you want, Aubrey. But I'll never cease to believe in a match made in heaven, my beloved.
I really wish you could meet her, Mother. You would love her.
This is no place for a gentleman!
That building is under quarantine. Could this be what I'm looking for? I cannot enter. Seen such a radical mutation. Could it be a new stage in the disease's evolution? So the husband had an affair with Doris Fletcher. This is despicable. I have this thirst for blood. This is... despicable. I can't believe I'm doing this. I have this thirst for blood. This is despicable. Good evening.
And good evening.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual recently?
A few days ago, I spotted a strange house while campaigning for women's suffrage. Awful smell. No answer when I knocked.
Where is it?
It's the Mullaneys, a nice family who live in a big house near the park in the eastern part of this neighborhood.
Goodbye, Charlotte. Give my best regards to your mother when you see her.
She's been quite busy these last few nights. I suspect you may see her before me.
Why are vampire hunters sniffing around here? I need to find out what they're after.
Oh my God! Away with you! This one's mine!
I can't believe I'm doing this. is despicable. I can't believe I'm doing this. This woman's body has multiple lacerations. They're deep, too. Whoever did this was driven by rage. He had his tongue removed and his eyes gouged out. He was a victim of brutal torture. This one's neck is broken. He was young. Probably the son.
You thought I was dead too, didn't you? No, I was just pretending. Doris told me I could have been a great actress.
You killed your family.
They mocked my talent. Ah!
So, this girl took lessons at the famous Doris Fletcher acting school. Doris Fletcher seems to be the missing link here. It can't just be a coincidence. I should go to her. Acting school. Good evening, sir. Please forgive me for disturbing you. I'm a doctor.
I never judge a man by his title, but by his attitude. And you are not disturbing me at all. I am Calhoun Russell, and I welcome you.
Well, I must admit it's good to receive a warm welcome for once. I'm Jonathan Reed.
Welcome, Dr. Reed. Welcome to my humble shop.
What can you tell me about this place?
I recently found the best steak and kidney pie in the city. I'd be glad to share the address if you want.
Finding a good restaurant? Is that really all that interests you?
Oh, I have many passions, but nothing brings me ecstasy like subtle and exquisite flavors from my teeth to my belly.
I must confess, I have quite specific tastes when it comes to nutrition.
Really? Well, I'm always happy to try new exotic meals. If you ever find an intriguing table, please share the address.
How is the situation in this part of town?
Life is good and peaceful. We're lucky to live in such an era of progress and wonders.
Are you not concerned about the epidemic?
Oh, I'm sure the authorities would take the appropriate measure if the danger were that high.
I'm afraid the newspapers are seriously underestimating the situation. Things are critical, believe me.
Well, that's news then. But I can't believe that things are that bad. Are you sure you're not exaggerating a bit? For the thrill of it?
Is it not a little too late to be trading?
On the contrary, it is the perfect hour. Believe me, my friend, it is always at night that you meet the most fascinating characters.
But what about the epidemic? The bombs and raids? And all the random violence?
Please, sir, this is London, England. We will prevail. And if a bomb must fall on my shop, then I'll be there to hear it falling.
So you prefer to work at night?
Oh, I also enjoy a sunny day like everybody else. But the night always has a certain je ne sais quoi of its own.
Do you have any family nearby?
Not since my parents died. I'm London's lone gourmet.
Really? But you seem to be such a pleasant and sociable fellow.
I'm afraid the real hedonist has to be sometimes. I discovered ecstasy as a solitary pleasure, but it does not mean it can't ever be shared.
London's lone gourmet. What a strange title.
I used that name in my early years when I was a food critic, and I kept it.
Goodbye, Mr. Russell. I'm
Goody.
I may have a look at your goods, Mr. Russell. Good evening, sir. May I have your attention, please?
Come on, Johnny. Don't you recognize your oldest friend?
Clarence. Clarence Crossley. How are you? My God. So you survived the war too. So sorry I didn't recognize you at first.
I almost didn't recognize you either. War does that to men, I heard. In my case, it was true, for I witnessed the horror that lies underneath.
When did you escape the war and return to London?
You know what's funny? I almost never think about the war. Not anymore. I'm involved in another kind of battle now.
I know what you mean. I haven't had much time to think about the war either since my return.
Of course. With the epidemic, I bet you've been busy as well. Forgive me, Johnny, I didn't want to sound selfish.
What is this new battle?
I saw terrible things during the war. Horrors I thought I'd forget. They're here too. They're everywhere. Vampires.
How is your wife, Venus?
We've spent so much time away from each other. And so many things have happened.
But you're alive. You returned in one piece and you have a family. How many soldiers can say the same?
Believe me, it's not quite that simple. Unlike you, I'm not the man I used to be.
Is everything all right at home? Surely Venus was relieved to see you return from France in one piece.
Have you forgot what people are like in this part of town, Johnny? Venus fears for our family reputation. Now her husband has become the village idiot.
Do you need medical assistance, Clarence?
It's a little late for visiting hours, don't you think?
What can I say? I haven't lost my old habits.
I hope we're talking about the same habits, old friend.
You need some rest, Clarence. You should try to sleep.
Women's right to vote is only the first step.
We meet again, Mr. Kimura, in a more peaceful situation.
Dr. Reed. Still visiting London by night?
We must both be nocturnal animals, you and I. After your captivity, I thought you'd be more cautious.
Breathing the cold night air helps calm my mind, sir. I've had the most frightening nightmares since I escaped that filthy jail.
How is the situation in the West End?
I've heard rumors about armed men patrolling and fighting infected citizens in these very streets. I was lucky they didn't shoot me when I was abducted.
May I ask you what you do for a living, Mr. Kimura?
I was a landlord. A wealthy one. And not a very kind one, I realized recently.
Why this sudden epiphany? Is it because of your near-death experience?
I was already feeling nostalgic about Weymouth, my hometown. With recent events, I'm thinking about going back there.
Why are you so nostalgic for your hometown, Tadao?
I was focused so much on making money, I almost forgot that my relatives and friends are threatened by this epidemic.
Have you heard anything from your family?
I was not only a bad landlord, I was also a bad husband. I've not seen my wife and son for years. Busy, busy, busy.
At least now you're ready to go back and see them. But don't be surprised if your son bears a grudge, sir.
You make it sound like you suffered from an absent father yourself, Dr. Reed. Well, I'll keep your warning in mind.
Have you no friends at all?
Over the years, I'm afraid my greed turned me into my friend's adversary, while I became friends with my professional rivals.
Those you grew up with didn't share your views on money and success.
Would you believe I was once a member of poetry circles and an astronomy club? We were young, such joyful dreamers then. But I stopped laughing long ago.
Can you change? And is it what you really want? If so, it must come from within, not without.
I've seen what an altruistic gesture can do. Nothing forced you to save me, Dr. Reed, but you did. I will follow your example in these matters from now on.
There is no need to thank me. Rescuing a London citizen should not be out of the ordinary, though I'm afraid it may appear so in these difficult times.
You did not only rescue me, you fought for me. You put your life in danger to save me. That's quite extraordinary.
How will you cope if you're attacked again?
I don't know. I've heard about these men and women who patrol the West End every night, chasing criminals like my abductor. Maybe I should join them.
What can you tell me about your abduction?
If you really want to know, I was locked in that building for 3 or 4 days. My jailer was insane, mumbling about sacrifice and voices.
And why didn't he sacrifice you?
That was the weirdest part. He claimed to spill blood was not enough. It had to be done when some stars were aligned.
Which stars?
That's the whole point. He wanted me to talk to him about some Red Queen configuration or constellation. I've never heard of such an astronomical term.
What did he say about voices?
He constantly whined about the voice of his master, ordering him to do terrible things. He wanted to silence the voice by offering blood. My blood.
Tell me, Tadao, why was your abductor so interested in your passion for astronomy?
I don't know. We met a few times at the Royal Greenwich Observatory. He seemed to share my hobby. Then he invited me to his house and locked me in.
Yes, astronomy is a fascinating subject. When I was a child, my mother bought a small telescope for my sister and I. We spent many a pleasant evening stargazing.
Stars are not just dots in the sky, Doctor. They are the key to our understanding of the cosmos. They remind us how insignificant we are.
You're right. But children love magic and stories. I remember our mother told us constellations have the power to protect us.
Protection by the light of the stars. That's sweet. You remember the name of these constellations?
Pegasus. It was the constellation my mother liked the most.
Memory's a strange thing. I can recite without hesitation the names of the 88 constellations, yet I barely remember my own childhood.
Did he fake his interest in astronomy to get close to you?
No. In his madness, he spoke about a blood sacrifice to be made to his master when the stars aligned to a specific configuration.
Goodbye, Mr. Kimura. Take care.
London has brought so much pain to me.
Hello? Is anyone there?
Jonathan, is that you? I did not know you were back in London. Oh, my dear Johnny, I'm so sorry for your loss. Mary was such a sweetheart.
Thank you, Venus. May I come in?
I was going to bed, actually.
I'm sure you can spare me a few minutes. For old time's sake.
Of course you may enter, Jonathan. I remember when Mary came here with her husband and her son. It was such a beautiful family.
It's a pleasure to see you again, Venus.
So you returned from the war in one piece too. Thank God. My Clarence is back home too.
How is the old rascal?
Probably outside, chasing ghosts and chimeras. Clarence has changed a lot since he returned from the war, you know.
How have you been since the last time we met? How long has it been? 3 years now?
I've done my duty, like all British women. You have no idea what it was like to wait for months without knowing if I'd still be a wife or a widow.
I understand. Luckily, this part of town has been saved from the worst of the bombings, from what I've seen.
Yes, and it's also true about the epidemic. The flu has killed here too, of course, but not on such a large scale as in other parts of town.
Have you noticed anything peculiar about the neighborhood recently?
You mean except for your return to town? No. Oh, and again, Jonathan, please accept my condolences for your sister.
Thank you, Venus. It was so sudden, and I've been so busy, I haven't spoken to anyone about it.
I wish I could have assisted at the funeral, but you know, it's been so quick. And what with the epidemic in the streets?
There's no need to apologize, my dear. It's normal, considering the circumstances.
No, it's not. I am sure that Clarence has not even thought to present you his condolences. He is too busy with his penny dreadful stories.
Why is my return so surprising?
It's more an unexpected happy end than a surprise. You and Clarence, back from the war. You have no idea how hard it's been for me.
Venus, why do you worry so much about your family's reputation?
Everyone laughs at Clarence now. And they avoid me because they believe I share his insane opinions. I'm a leper in my own community.
Tell me about Clarence's obsession with vampires.
It drives me so crazy it makes my stomach hurt. I was so relieved to have him back. But I quickly realized he'd lost his mind in France.
I understand your irritation, Venus. But you have to accept the trauma Clarence endured on the battlefield.
The question is simple, Jonathan. Is my husband mad? Yes or no? Do vampires exist? Or is Clarence a lunatic?
So you don't believe Clarence?
If poor Mary, bless her soul, had tried to convince you of the existence of bloody vampires, would you have believed her? Seriously?
The important question is, what do you really think of your husband?
I'm tough, Jonathan. He should have told me the horrors he witnessed, however appalling it was, instead of inventing a fantasy about blood-drinking monsters. You know that you are always welcome here. But at this hour of night? You're lost, Jonathan.
It's locked, all right. No invitation is needed to enter this building. That can't be a good sign. No sign of a struggle. Emily wanted to become a vampire. Something must have gone wrong. Someone, blood. I should follow the trail.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same question.
I'm the Marquis de Bois-Colombes, and I strongly invite you to find your own game, sir.
I'm not here to sustain myself. I'm currently investigating the death of a young woman killed by a vampire.
A young woman killed by a vampire? Oh, you're joking, right? Oh, I do love the British sense of humor.
And who exactly are you?
I am Jacques-Michel Guillaume Florimond de Marquis de Bois-Colombes, at your service, my dear cousin.
You're French, but your English is quite good.
I was born in France, sir, but I consider myself a traveler of this world. So many countries, so many tantalizing tastes.
Dear cousin, are we related?
We could be of the same blood, my dear. I tend to consider all Econs as family, don't you?
What are you doing here?
I recently decided to visit London. I've always dreamed of visiting a city on the verge of collapse. Such a delicate, yet intense spectacle.
You take pleasure from others' misery.
I have been a totally depraved and immoral creature since the day I was reborn, sir. And probably before.
What do you plan to do here?
Take pleasure. Take pictures. Enjoy the show. Have fun. Believe me, I won't be the only foreign immortal who bought a ticket to the fair.
I followed the trail of blood from her room to here.
Oh, you're referring to that young woman. Yes, the meeting turned messy. I'm afraid I ruined my last wedding goat.
So you admit you murdered her?
I admit nothing, my good sir. I only regret the blood of that girl staining my clothes. Oh, blood can be so messy.
What happened?
She wanted to become one of us. Not the first time I have received such a proposal, but I must admit her direct approach tempted me.
And then what?
The body rejected my blood. It happens, you know, sometimes even with voluntary prey. At least her gurglings brought me some fun, until the artery burst.
I believe you, sir. Emily's diary confirms your statement.
Oh, Emily was her name. Quite charming. Well, mystery solved then.
Yes, I suppose so. You can go.
And so can you. Farewell, sir. May you enjoy the spectacle of this fallen city as much as I do.
Good evening, old chap.
I won't lie to you, John.
Do you realize you are ruining your family, Clarence? Don't you see the risk here?
Money isn't important. Not important when it is a matter of life and death. That is what my dear Venus cannot understand.
People will laugh at you, if they don't already. Think about your wife and your position. Think about your future.
I understand my wife's embarrassment, but gossips don't kill, vampires do. There'll be no future if people don't open their eyes.
I can't believe I'm telling you this, but if warning people is that important to you, why not choose a more efficient way to spend your money?
Don't you think I tried? I knocked at every door, went to every bank, I even tried to be published. No, Jonathan. This is a one-man war.
Clarence, why have you distributed leaflets about vampires all across the West End?
I have to warn everybody about them. They've killed thousands of people already, unnoticed thanks to the epidemic. We are all in danger here.
Vampires in London? Come on, Clarence. Who's going to believe that?
I'm not mad, Jonathan. You have to believe me. I know they are real. They're all around us, even as we speak.
Clarence, you've always been a reliable and a good friend to me. If you say you saw a vampire, then I believe you.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for your trust. You don't know what that means to me.
It's all right. But if you want my help, you have to explain exactly what happened.
The first time it was in Rouen. I saw an officer drink the blood of a soldier. I saw its teeth, saw it bite. It was a vampire, Johnny, and they're here too.
Tell me what you have discovered about vampires, Clarence.
They've always been here. And if you search for long enough, you realize others know about these devils too. I'm not alone.
Have you shared your research with anybody else?
No. But I've published my leaflets all across the city, hoping that someday someone will realize I'm printing the truth.
What do you mean you're not alone? Who have you met?
The Guard of Prewin, the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole, Ichabod Throgmorton. Those names always pop up when you dig deep enough.
Have you spoken with any of them?
No. With the quarantine, it's almost impossible to leave the West End. But as a doctor, maybe you could, Johnny.
Are you asking me to help you prove the existence of vampires, Clarence?
Yes, Johnny. Please, gather all the information you can find about vampires and bring it to me. You're the only friend I have left. I need you.
Clarence, Tell me about the vampire you saw in France.
I was enjoying my leave in Rouen. I left the bar, took a shortcut back to the barracks. I saw it in a back alley. An officer in a stained uniform, biting into a soldier's neck.
Did you ever see that officer again?
No. He wore the uniform of the Royal Warwickshire Regiment. I did some research, but found no trace of him. He probably stole it from a previous victim.
But you were drunk, weren't you? Are you sure these two men were not just kissing?
Please don't insult me, Johnny. I hid, and I saw him leave. Then I saw the body, drained of all blood. I've seen the same marks here in London since I've returned.
You need some rest, Clarence. You should try to sleep.
Women die too in this...
Good evening, Miss Ashbury.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
I have found out what happened to your friend, Emily.
I can handle the truth. There's no need to hide the bloody details.
Your friend was planning to become a vampire. She thought she'd met an honest one and made a deal with him. Unfortunately, Emily did not survive the process.
My mother told me many times about the risks of being turned. I often suspected she exaggerated the danger to avoid me being tempted.
No, the risk is real. Have you any idea what a body has to endure to become an organism entirely consumed by its need to process and recombine blood?
I should never have talked to Emily about vampires. I never thought she'd actually try it without me. Thank you, sir. Here, take this for your discretion.
Goodbye, Charlotte. Give my...
She's been quite...
It's locked.
Good evening, Jonathan. How are you?
I'm still investigating from inside the Ascalon Club. Can we talk?
Of course, my dear.
How is your investigation going?
I have decided to explore beyond the dictates of reason.
What do you mean?
You may on occasion find this house closed when you visit me. If so, it is because I have gone undercover. Sort of.
Who are you going to surveil? I hope you're not considering spying on McCullum or the Guard of Priwen.
No. I intend to ask a few questions in parts of town I rarely venture into. Dirty places where a delicate lady like myself should never be seen.
When will you return?
As soon as possible. And I don't intend to stay away for long.
There are many paintings adorning the walls here.
Yes?
Did you paint them?
No, my dear. But some of them. I have had a long time to learn from the best. I'm currently working on what could be my greatest masterpiece.
What is this masterpiece?
Your portrait, my dear Jonathan. It will be my gift to you, if I ever have time to finish it.
Have you met any famous painters?
Are you trying to divine my age by cross-checking historical dates, my dear? That's a devious parlor trick.
Well, Elizabeth, I tried my best. Don't I deserve some reward at least?
Well, if you must know, I even posed for the greats. Now that you know it, you may recognize me when visiting museums.
I have investigated new sources of infection, and I may have found a new type of skull. One suffering from heavy mutations that is extremely contagious.
Scowls come in various forms, you know. They are simply degenerate versions of their makers.
I believe these families are different, and I'm currently pursuing a lead. I know I can find the true source of contagion by finding who created these creatures.
That would be great news. Be very careful, my dear, when dealing with such creatures.
Goodbye, my dearest.
Goodbye, my beloved.
I'm sure Kaloon Russell has no interest in such a conventional menu. It's locked, all right. There's an open window on the second floor. I should be able to get in through that.
Woe to you, nations of hypocrites. For in front of you stands the tall queen. You
Can that be Doris Fletcher's voice? Where does it come from? This is despicable. I cannot enter.
could only smirk at her soiled feet. Alas, poor Doris. I knew her well. And many can testify to her kindness and beauty.
have this thirst for blood.
Who are you? You who dared enter my realm. Are you here to worship or mock me?
I'm here to put an end to the vampire epidemic, Miss Fletcher.
Ah. But Doris Fletcher is no more. She was consumed by this putrid flesh that now enshrouds her.
You feel anger for what happened to you, but I can help you. I'm a doctor, Miss Fletcher.
Doris Fletcher is no more. All that remains are the dreams of the queen she was, and the queen she'll be. Until then, all shall die, for that was her final wish. My blade, hear and obey, for your queen commands you. Attack! Behold, Kinslayer, the disgrace of she-beauty was once renowned. Will she be the queen again once they all share her fate? Rise and save your queen, my slave! You killed my father. Prepare to come to me, my servants.
I can't believe I'm doing this.
Best stay back, sir. Get their weapons ready! Watch it! It's a killer! Over there! There's one of them!
Hello, Jonathan. How are things on the West End front?
Complicated, my friend. The rich and powerful feel threatened by the disease, and have asked me to put an end to it.
Yes. It is odd how resolving a crisis suddenly increases in urgency when it affects those who matter.
Do you know Aloysius Dawson, the famous tycoon, is well versed in vampire and occult knowledge?
No, I did not. But that is no surprise. For half a century, it has been quite the trend for English nobility to join secret societies and occult circles.
But Aloysius Dawson is only a rich merchant.
Yes, richer than Croesus. Wealth is more respected than title these days, even in England.
Did he contact the Brotherhood of St. Paul? Try to join your group?
It would not surprise me, but I am certain he's never been a member.
Does the Brotherhood of St. Paul know anything about the Ascalon Club?
Well, I'm afraid that's unlikely. Ascalon is a sensitive topic, and whatever material the Brotherhood has, I may not have access to.
Who could answer me then?
Usher Talltree, our current primate, may be the only one able to answer you. He's a discreet man who lives in the West End.
It looks like the epidemic is spreading to the western districts of London. I am trying to locate the source of the infection.
It won't be an easy task, my friend. This disease is highly contagious.
Do you not think epidemiology could be helpful in this matter? To retrace the origin of infection through time and topology.
If anyone can perform such a miracle, it will be you, Dr. Reed.
Since this epidemic is evidently linked to the vampire curse, we must find the original carrier to understand where it comes from.
I admire your logic, Jonathan, but be careful. Rationality, when it comes to your kind, is not always a reliable lens.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening, Doc.
I'd like...
Wise Chalk.
Jesus, I've never seen so many.
Crush the leech! Delete! Kill it! Back to the bloody scribe! There's one of them vermin! Put an end to you! Please, sir, follow you through.
It's locked.
Women's right to vote is only the first step.
This thirst for blood.
Your blood will be mine! Your hand! Wait. I beg you, wait.
What?
I don't want to die.
And I did not come to kill you, Miss Fletcher.
Will you spare me then? Save this cadaverous carcass of mine. Does your heart beat a little faster now? You fancy me then, Doctor?
No, Miss Fletcher. My dead heart will beat for only one.
Ah! Is she pretty? Is she sweet and tender?
To me, yes.
Ah! I hate her already.
I know. And this is partly why you must be destroyed.
But you just said...
That I did not come here to kill you, yes. But I realize now the threat you embody must be stopped.
Will I be remembered? Will you?
You were Doris Fletcher. The greatest actress of her generation. No one can take that from you.
Thank you. And farewell. Ah! Ah! Ah!
Farewell, Doris.
Bravo! So dramatic. I love it.
McCullum.
How strange I seem to find you whenever I'm inquiring about that Skal infestation.
I mean you no harm.
I'm not here for you. But once I put all the pieces of the puzzle together, I'm sure we'll have a little chat, you and me.
Stay away from me, McCullum. You and all your war dogs.
That I can't guarantee, Dr. Reed. But I'll let you go. For now.
I should probably leave the theater right now. The West End should be safe now. But London is not. It would be wise to benefit from the Ascalon's protection while I continue my research during the Great Hunt. These people want me dead. I need to leave now. So Doris just needed to be close to her audience to infect them. Contagion through skin. Very disturbing. Fresh water. As long as it's not holy water, I may find some use for it.
Weapons ready! We found one! I'll take it, Zach! Christ! Take a breath!
A stroll. Step away! It's one of them!
Steady, boys! We've got one of them here!
More Braille. I should bring this to Mason Swanborough. A restaurant where the guests are blindfolded before being seated. Intriguing. There has been a fight here. I can see a blood trail. Left by one of the antagonists, perhaps? What a mess. Something terrible happened here. What?
a soul!
I cannot enter.
I will crush you!
Louise's father was determined to find and save her. can't believe I'm doing this. This is despicable. I have this thirst for blood.
Vampyr will not... Why?
How dare you interfere with my hunt?
Let me go, you bastard!
Miss Teasdale, are you all right?
How do you know my name? Who are you?
My name is Dr. Reed. I managed to track you down thanks to your father.
So my father really was looking after me. This man, this vampire told me my father was dead. Is it true?
I'm afraid so, miss. I'm so sorry for your loss. But you are free to go, as your abductor is no more.
I suppose my jailer also killed my father, didn't he?
Thankfully, he did not search your father's corpse, where I found his notes describing where he might find you. You should read them.
I must find my father's body. He deserves a proper burial.
Goodbye, Miss Teasdale, and be careful. Until we meet again. Good evening, sir. I am Dr. Jonathan Reed. Do you need my help?
Yes, please. Would you be kind enough to tell me what the time is?
That's all you need to know.
Well, is it not important to know? As important as where you are? Or who you are?
I suppose you're right. And who are you then, sir?
I am Agamemnon Baker. Like my brother, I think we need to leave this city immediately. And my brother and I rarely agree on anything.
May I ask what you're doing outside at this hour of night?
I don't know. You should ask my brother instead. It was his idea in the first place.
You must have your own ideas.
From what I have managed to understand, I guess we're supposed to wait here. Waiting for someone to come.
May I ask why you've not gone already, if you're so exasperated by this long wait?
I believe fear is holding us back. My brother would have said it's laziness, but it's just because he's prouder than I am.
What can you tell me about this part of town?
It's the only place I've considered myself happy. Or at least that's what I believe. Unfortunately, it's time to leave.
Why is that?
Because I'm not feeling happy here anymore. Are you?
I still enjoy living in London, no matter how difficult it can be sometimes.
Then I am sincerely happy for you. True happiness in life seems to be the most difficult goal to reach these days.
What can you tell me about your brother?
He's older than me, I think. But the important thing is that I really hope I'll die before him. Grief would just kill me, you know?
Is that all?
Pericles is very attached to this city, and without my insistence, he would never leave this place. We don't often agree on anything, you see.
Who are you waiting for, exactly?
The more I think about it, the more I believe it's not exactly a person we are waiting for.
But what else could it be, then?
I don't know. A feeling? An event? An impulse? How can I tell? Something that would allow us to leave this trap.
Trap? And you think leaving London will free you?
At least it will give us the chance to be free. That's more than our present situation. Hope, Doctor. Hope is what truly drives mankind.
I'm afraid I'm not following you. What kind of trap are you talking about?
Have you ever felt like life trapped you in a role that does not fit you? That you are not in your place? That sort of trap.
Goodbye for now. Good evening, sir. I'm Dr. Reed. Can I be of assistance?
Dr. Reed? Dr. Reed?
Is there anything wrong?
No, it's just... your name sounds familiar. And your face. Have we met before?
I think I would remember. So I suppose the answer is no.
That's odd. I'm certain I've already heard of you. My name is Pericles Baker. Does that mean anything to you?
I'm afraid not, sir. But it's a pleasure to meet you anyway.
The pleasure is mine, I guess. I only wish I could remember when it was that we met.
Who are you waiting for? I'm sure he has a name.
I really can't answer that question, since I don't know that person.
And why is that?
This person is mostly my brother's acquaintance. I don't even know his real name. Only that this man could help us leave this city once and for all.
But why would you need this person's help to leave London anyway?
Well, I thought we should have left this cursed place already, but my brother convinced me to stay a while longer, and here we are.
Tell me about yourself, Mr. Baker. What are you doing out here in the middle of the night?
We are waiting for someone.
And why are you waiting for this person?
Because we need to leave this city, as soon as possible.
Why do you want to leave the city?
I'm not really sure.
Can you tell me anything about this district?
As you like asking questions so much, would you allow me to ask you one first?
Please, be my guest.
Do you like this city?
I know we are not living in the most peaceful of times, but I have learned to appreciate London's complexity.
Yes, me too. This city tests us. It invites us to find ourselves, to discover our true nature scattered throughout its dark streets.
But what if we don't like what we find?
Do we ever know who we are? I wonder sometimes. Or maybe it is the journey to find out who we are that changes us.
And what do you do, sir? For a living, that is.
I stopped working when I decided to leave. When I realized what I wanted. Wanted something this city can't provide.
But what were you doing before you took this decision?
Does it really matter anymore? Considering the past seems so pointless to me. I have lived in this city all my life. And now I think it's over.
Tell me more about why you want to leave London, then.
I just don't belong here anymore. I had to convince my brother to leave London because I know we need to find another life out of the city.
Can you tell me anything about this district? Please.
Do you like...
I know...
Yes.
But what...
Do we ever...
Pericles, tell me why your brother disagrees with your presence here.
Agamemnon is naive sometimes. Although don't consider him a fool, sir. He is often more lucid than me.
At least you both have the same difficulty explaining what you're doing, and for what reason.
But is that not a common problem for all mortals?
What can you tell me about your brother?
If you are searching for a pleasant chat, you should speak with him instead of wasting your time with me. He's always been the more gentle of us.
That's it? That's all you can tell me about him?
For the time being, true kindness is the most valuable quality, my good sir.
Goodbye, Mr. Baker.
Hello again, Dr. Reed.
Goodbye for now, Mr. Baker.
no place for a gentleman.
Mr. Baker. How are conditions?
The way this sickness is spreading,
Since I took an oath to help people, can I be of assistance?
well, seen.
Infecting you is probably the last thing on these people's minds. Take this, in any case.
What? You give me this for free? Don't have it.
Goodbye.
Proven by many. Even the flu is no.
Good evening, my dear colleague.
You look ill, Miss Swanborough. I wonder if your concoction will do the trick.
I have no doubt it will. But I'm not against a second opinion, Dr. Reed.
Well, there you have it. Take this remedy, but be discreet. It may damage your business otherwise.
Thank you.
Goodbye, Miss Swanborough. Perhaps we'll talk again. Good evening, Xiaoshu.
晚上好, Dr. Reed. It's good to see you again.
Do you still think about your departed husband?
Of course I do. I'll never forget my beloved Matthew, but how do I put it? Now I miss him more than I want him back.
I know what you mean. And I think it means you're getting better.
Maybe death will take me the way it took Matthew. Without warning and without mercy. But until then, I live on.
How do you feel now that you're back in Whitechapel?
I've decided to follow your advice, sir. I won't forget the dead, but my efforts will be for the living.
I've no doubt That is a wise and useful attitude in this part of town.
To be completely honest with you, I am also doing this for myself. If I'm destined to survive this epidemic, I need my life to have some purpose.
Why don't you move to a better neighborhood?
I thought about it, I confess. To go back to the same empty home every day still hurts me a lot.
Why stay here then?
I am a woman of habit, Dr. Reed. And for now, I am happier being useful in a familiar place than I would be anywhere else.
What are you doing with your time, now that you're back in Whitechapel?
I've decided to help the poor and sick of the neighborhood by handing out medicine.
That's very charitable of you. But why do it at night?
I've noticed that the most desperate people tend to go out after dark. Hence my presence, to help them when I can.
Giving out medicine? How can you afford to do that?
I am a rich widow, Dr. Reed. My departed husband left me enough money to last the rest of my life. I can spend some on those who don't have any.
How do you feel? Physically speaking, I mean.
I don't feel good, Dr. Reed. Not at all.
You should recover quickly after taking this.
Thank you, Doctor.
Goodbye for now.
Don't you know better? This is my territory! Stupid newborn! You're bleeding!
Good evening, Mr. Swanborough.
Is it you, Dr. Reed? Please come in. Tell me, how do you see the world these days? What can I do for you, Doctor?
You seem unwell, sir. Do you need my assistance?
I'm fine, Dr. Reed.
Your sister seems to believe this miracle elixir business is somehow doing you good.
Loretta believes that keeping busy is what I need to be happy.
And is she wrong?
My sister is wrong about almost everything. But as long as she thinks she's in charge, she can be nice.
Why does your sister feel so guilty about what happened to you?
Because she knows I'll never forgive what she did to me.
You run an illegal business with someone you hate?
I don't hate my sister. She looks after me, we have a good time. But I'm just not ready to forgive her.
I found another page of the diary, Mr. Swanborough.
This diary is still not complete. The man who wrote it claims he is a member of some scholarly brotherhood called the St. Paul's Stole.
Really? I've heard of them. Very capable scientists. Perhaps the man who wrote this really found a cure.
I would need more pages to figure it out, but it's as promising as it is intriguing.
Goodbye.
Tell me, how do you see the world these days?
I'll kill you! You Londoners and... Best stay back, sir. Over there! There's one in there! I'll send you back in It ain't you!
Done.
What news, Jonathan? I've heard you've now joined the vampire elite of London.
Did Elizabeth tell you?
So it's Elizabeth now. My. Things are moving quickly. I turn my back for a moment and away you go.
Have you seen Lady Ashbury recently?
Yes, she popped in yesterday. Told me about your new friends in the West End.
Just a courtesy visit, then?
Yes. And no. She was en route to the docks, I think, following a lead concerning your makeup.
I may have found the source of the contagion. Doris Fletcher, the actress. Thankfully, in the end, she was destroyed by fire.
Really? Oh, please, do tell me more.
Doris was a heavily mutated skull. Almost a new breed entirely. It's as if the disease had completely altered her mind and body. Highly contagious.
As if the disease had taken control of her will?
Yes. Once a beautiful and brilliant woman, she became motivated by hate alone.
Oh, she was a beauty. I met her when she visited the hospital to cheer up the sick. Too bad the fire destroyed her. But it was probably for the best.
Have you heard of similar cases?
No, I don't think so. Except, perhaps, it reminds me of an old report from the Brotherhood. Well, more an article, really.
What was it about?
The author, a friar, referred to a rare form of contagion in a skull he observed during the Black Death. The carrier was always female. They called them icors.
How's the situation at the Pembroke?
We're still holding out. Question is, for how long? What we really need is hope, Jonathan. Hope for a better tomorrow.
I'll come back later. Thank...
Always a pleasure.
Good evening, Miss Howcroft. How are you tonight?
I need blood, Doctor. Warm, rich, vibrant blood.
Do you require my services, Miss Howcroft?
My condition cannot be understood by you, mortal. This curse is beyond your science.
Well, until the day science finally admits failure, please accept this little contribution.
Thank you, Doctor. Your efforts are admirable, though laughable.
I'll leave you, Mistress of the Dark, to your nocturnal activities.
I wish I could be sick again.
But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit
Good
of the
evening,
doubt.
Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Your medical report says you're not affected by the Spanish flu. What do you think of that, Mortimer?
Does it make me happy? Not in the slightest. If it was up to me, I would have left this place long ago. I know I don't belong here.
And why do you think you don't belong here?
I know the staff have more important things to do than look after me. There's plenty of patients here who need their attention.
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
You are not a burden, sir. Healing you is my responsibility.
And you have my gratitude for that.
I have to go now, sir. But don't hesitate to contact me if you need any help.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Falling apart. But in the circumstances, I'm willing to give you the benefit.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good
Did you know Dr. Ackroyd never reported your experimental research? despite the fact he doesn't agree with it.
Really? I didn't suspect he knew about my work. I must confess I am surprised.
Perhaps he thinks you should realize for yourself the danger of what you're doing.
See how condescending he can be? My God, he can be so irritating.
Do you need my medical attention, dear colleague?
I would have been confused if anyone other than you had asked that question, Dr. Reed. But your help is welcomed.
There is no shame in helping each other. We're colleagues, after all.
Many doctors I have known are too cynical to think that way.
Goodbye, Dr. Strickland.
You always knew the word.
By this horrifying epidemic.
Good evening, Dr. Tibbets.
Dr. Reed, any good news to share?
What will you do after your resignation? Do you have a plan?
I always fancied visiting Cyprus. Such a beautiful island. I could buy a house there by the sea. Read poetry and wait for death.
Do you need any medical assistance yourself, Doctor?
Yes, indeed. But don't worry, I am perfectly capable of taking care of myself.
I have no doubt about it, but you are still ill all the same. Please, take this medicine.
I appreciate your concern, Dr. Reed. To be honest, I just did not take the time to diagnose myself.
Goodbye, Dr. Tibbets.
Hey!
You're lucky to be alive, Mr. Cox. I hope you're starting to take better care of yourself.
This place is full of sickness and decay.
Consider yourself lucky that I'm treating all...
Don't play the...
I'll leave you for now.
Get them weapons ready! Back! He's done for! Not a good place for a stroll. Last warning!
Bloody leech!
Don't forget to keep an...
Good evening, Miss Cox.
Hello again, Dr. Reed. What do you want?
Can I offer you my medical help, Miss Cox?
Giving out for free? You'd make a poor businessman, Dr. Reed.
Perhaps I would. Please, take this. You will feel better.
Thank you. But don't expect me to owe you anything.
Can I see what you have to sell?
As long as you have money, I'll show you all I have.
You again. What are you...
Do you need medical help, sir?
Yeah, I do. If you can throw in some drugs, I can find use for that too.
So you can sell them on the black market? Sorry. I'll only provide you with exactly what you need.
Fair enough, Dr. Reed. Don't cost me nothing to ask.
Goodbye, Mr. Digby.
Welcome back, Doctor. What can I do for you?
Do you need any help?
Can't be good for business to see the bartender cough in your beer.
Indeed. It would be a shame to taint the delicate taste.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Reed. My customers and I, we all thank you.
Goodbye, Mr. Watts.
You still working at this hour? That's what I call dedication.
Were you aware of Tom's past incarceration?
That's the first thing he told me when he offered me the job. He didn't want me hearing about his past from anyone else.
Did it surprise you to find out about it?
Not really. I was already aware of his reputation before I met him. That's why I came to the Turtle in the first place.
Most people would have run away because of that.
Not me. I thought a man like him could give me stability, you know? At least to some degree. And I wasn't mistaken.
Tell me, Sabrina, do you really believe Tom has renounced his life of crime?
He proves it to me every day he tells the truth. Tom Watts is a good man. One of the best.
And you don't think he might fall back into his sordid ways?
We can all do terrible things, Dr. Reed. And we never know what we're really capable of until it's too late.
Do you require medical assistance, Miss Cavendish?
Don't feel so good if you have to know. I knew that keeping the bar open with the epidemic wasn't a good idea.
Take this, it'll help. Perhaps you should think about closing the Turquoise Turtle for a while.
Tom always said we got to keep the doors open. But thank you, Doctor.
Goodbye, Miss Cavendish. Evening, Rufus.
Evening, Mr. Reed.
Rufus, tell me what you really think about Seymour Fishburne.
Seymour, he just scares me. A lot. Actually, he scares many people round here, even big fellows.
You mean his brutality is infamous, even in this shady part of town? That's impressive.
Yes, sir. How someone like that can be related to Mrs. Fishburne, but it beggars belief.
The patience of a mother for her child knows no limits. None of us would be here otherwise.
You're right. And I certainly didn't mean any disrespect to the woman who takes such good care of me.
So long, Rufus. Be careful. Good evening, Mrs. Fishburne. May I come in, please?
Of course. Dr. Reed. Please don't stay too long, sir. What can I do for you, Dr. Reed?
Mrs. Fishburne, are you in need of any medical assistance?
I am afraid I am, Doctor. I don't feel well at all.
Then let me give you a prescription.
I thank you for your generosity, sir. It's something this part of town truly needs.
Goodbye, Miss Fishburne. Take care of yourself.
Please don't stay too long, sir.
Away, scared. Fear, flesh and blood.
Stupid things!
Good evening, sir. I'm glad to see you safe.
I am not safe. I should never have come back here. My life is in danger. I know it.
You're much safer here than in that contaminated area.
Bullets kill people quicker than diseases and epidemics, Dr. Reed.
What can you tell me about this district?
The East End docks only knows one rule. Dog eat dog, and blood calls for blood. The gang will have their revenge on me one way or another.
What can you tell me about the locals?
Most people would say that Sean Hampton and Tom Watts are good men who try to sort things out. But for me, the real boss around there was my best friend, Jack Gillingham.
Jack Gillingham, you say?
Everyone round there knew Jack. He was a rock. A mountain, even. He feared nothing.
Your friend Jack has something to do with you fleeing to the contaminated area where I found you. I want to know more.
Jack is dead. That's all you need to know. Dead because of me. So much violence. So much sorrow. All of that because I refuse to be insulted again.
No man can predict the exact outcome of his actions. It's the curse we have to live with. We can only gamble and do what we think is best.
Perhaps you're right. The district was doomed before I was born. But I cannot stop myself thinking that Jack died for me.
Why do you say that?
After I killed that gang member, the Wet Boot Boy suspected Jack. And being loyal and all, he did not refute the accusation.
You are not going to spend the rest of your life hiding, Rodney. What are you planning to do?
Honestly, I have no idea. How am I supposed to live while so many have suffered because of me?
Only you can answer that question. But one thing is certain. Since you owe Jack your life, I think it's fair to live it in a way that would make him proud.
That's the kind of thing Jack could have said, Dr. Reed. Thank you for that. I believe you're a good guy too.
The death of your friend has affected you deeply, hasn't it?
Jack Gillingham was the real deal. He believed we could change the world if we were united and focused enough. And he brought out the best in each of us.
You're right. He died to save you. That alone gives me an idea of the kind of man he was.
He was the bravest. And no one dares to say openly that he got killed by those bastards.
Your friend's plan was audacious, if not reckless. No one stands up by themselves to a gang like the Wet Boot Boys.
How dare you say that?
You're right.
He was the bravest.
Goodbye. Good evening, young man.
There's no need to call me that, Dr. Reed.
Young man, do you require medical attention?
I don't like asking for help, but I don't want to be one of those poor sods dying in the streets.
There's no shame in asking for help, especially when you are in desperate need of it. Here, take this. You should recover in no time.
Thank you, I suppose.
Goodbye.
Been that simple. Glad to see you again, Mr. Reed.
Do you need my medical attention, Miss Paxton?
I can keep going, Dr. Reed.
Of course you can, Miss Paxton. But I wouldn't recommend it. Please, take this. You will feel better.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. Thank you. Really.
Goodbye, Miss Paxton.
Welcome back to my humble shelter, Dr. Reed. Are you here to subdue me again?
No, Sean. I just came by to see how you are.
I feel all right. Why'd you ask?
Are you still feeding on corpses?
No. It's almost as though the blood you forced me to drink has provided me eternal satisfaction.
How is the sanitary situation in this part of town?
There's a lot of sadness and pain in my flock. I believe we're not fully through the crisis. You should do something about it if you can, Doctor.
How are things in your shelter? Between the mortals and the immortals, I mean.
Even if we're all children of God, I've always maintained a strict frontier between the two communities.
What do you fear?
A few years ago, a Skal decided to pay a nocturnal visit to my sleeping customers. He got caught licking their necks in the dark. Since then, I have added a lock to the door.
What if food became scarce? Wouldn't the immortals in your flock be tempted to feed on the living? Wouldn't you?
The Skals can feed on the dead, Doctor. And until Judgment Day, mortals will continue dying.
How did you meet old Bridget?
When younger, I used to patrol the streets at night, searching for lost souls. This is how I met her. It took me 2 months just to get her name. Now we support each other.
Had you already visited their hideout in the sewers?
Just once, and very briefly. Most of them are very discreet, and they see me as an outsider, even if I protect them.
You really are a saint, Sean.
Oh, no, sir, I'm not. But I know evil, and I believe goodwill and tenacity can make this world a better place.
Have you seen Harriet Jones since taking her to old Bridget?
No. She is with the sewer Skals now. I don't go downstairs.
What happened at the Pembroke?
I guess we recognized each other. As Skals, I mean. She had but one thought. To punish. To get revenge upon everything and everyone. I realized I had to bring her here quickly.
But why did she fake her own death? There was so much blood in her room. She attacked patients, too.
I just lost her for a minute that night. When I found her, she had caused mayhem across the hospital. I slapped some sense into her, and we fled before getting caught.
What happened then?
We ran here through narrow streets and backyards. She kept saying that someone was talking to her in the dark, offering to avenge her. But I saw nobody.
Would you let me listen to your chest, Sean?
No, Dr. Reed. You already forced me to drink your blood, and I thank you for that, for I feel better now. But it was quite an unpleasant experience.
It would help me greatly if you would allow me to give you a physical examination.
I said no. I'm no subject of medical examination, and I intend only to obey and to kneel before God.
Farewell, Sean. Take good care of your flock, and of yourself. Good
Are you sure?
Do you need help, Mr. Grader?
Death by disease or by bullet?
Well, I have nothing to stop the bullets, but this should make you feel better.
You have a strange sense of humor, Dr. Reed. But thanks anyway.
Goodbye, Mr. Grader. Take care.
So much.
Good evening, Mr. Throgmorton.
Dr. Reed, can I be of any assistance? Have you noticed anything suspicious lately?
Do you need my medical attention, sir?
Actually, I may. In my line of work, I have to stop at any sign of infection.
Treating a vampire hunter's wounds is certainly a first for me. I'm happy to help you, of course.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. Your support means a lot.
Goodbye. And good hunting, Mr. Throckmorton.
I can't protect the whole city. It's hard enough to cover the docks by myself.
Are you all right, sir? What are you doing in a place like this?
I'm not sure that's any of your business.
I hope you realize that staying here will put your life at great risk.
Pah! I'm not afraid of these guards of Priwen, or whatever these thugs call themselves. I can still kick some respect into those youngsters.
I wasn't specifically referring to them, but are you really after these men? Why?
They took my boy! I've had no news since he joined that crazy gang. So I decided to come and find him myself, to get some answers.
I see. But as I said, your life is at risk if you stay here. And I'm not referring to the gangs either. You should leave, sir.
Well, this part of town used to be nicer, let's say. Perhaps you're right. This isn't the best way to save Andrew.
There is a name engraved under the blood on the back of the case. Jack Gillingham. Perhaps Enid's son.